Hello and welcome to the Listening Post's unboxing channel on YouTube. Today I am unboxing an awesome fully automatic turntable from Dual, their CS429. It's superb. It's kind of, in my opinion, it's the first in the range that does a really good job of record playback and a really good job of the automatic functions that people demand. It is fitted with a 2M red cartridge, the tonearm, that can be replaced and upgraded and changed. It's simple enough. It's got a traditional counterweight and a magnetic anti-skate and just all of those types of things. It'll play 33s, 45s and 78s. It's built really well. It's got an onboard phono preamp that you can turn on and off, so as your system integration, or you could plug it into something modest initially, and then as your requirements grow you can turn off the phono preamp and use the one that will be in the better amp. So it covers off a really good feature set and a really good quality as well. So let's have a look. Firstly, basic packaging. It's got scannable information associated with the model and serial number, obviously with a packing slip in here somewhere. Dual logo, and again a wraparound for its model and serial number. Something I'm going to pause and talk to you about though is this. Dual has a 5-year warranty on all of their turntables. Utterly unheard of. And it highlights their commitment to ensuring the product is built properly. In a throwaway society with a lot of these rubbish products, it's great that they've managed to achieve a good feature set and an excellent build quality that they're supporting with a really good warranty. So, nevertheless, without delaying too much, let's have a look. Firstly, the outer carton is very straightforward to open. It is sealed closed with some basic clear packing tape. There is a cardboard topper to sort of support and protect the product, and also perhaps to avoid any craft knife damage from people who are opening it. There's a comprehensive multilingual setup and user manual. There is the Perspex lid. It's actually protected in one of those sort of polycloth bags. Like the other Dual turntables, the lid, the hinges are part of the accessories, so you can see that they've fitted some little rubber sort of bump-on things to support the lid, but the bracketing and hinging at the back is absent. Nevertheless, I'll put that off to one side and get to it later. Next layer, pretty simple, it's obviously the rubber mat. This is all sort of sellotaped in place. So you want to pause and just nick a little bit of this stuff to gain access to the parts that you need. Again, very carefully, just touching the tape enough to get access rather than diving in and potentially damaging the things that are in there. Again, the rubber mat, so it's supported inside a cardboard sleeve. The mat itself is then inside a plastic bag. Pause and look, as always, hang around for the photographs. I'll probably take some time and assemble this through the video, but again, the close-up photographs are always the best asset as far as seeing this product set up properly for people at home, and also get an understanding of the quality of some of these things. The reason I say that is that even the mat itself has a scallop in it associated with avoiding the label and therefore keeping the record flat. Let's put that off to one side. More accessories are all over the place. Actually, I'll tilt that forward so we can see. The next one that's quite obvious and again taped in place is the head shell. It's in a sealed plastic bag, so you sort of just tear that open and get rid of it, right? It's one of those classic bent arm designs. There's debate about straight versus bent and how it tracks in the record and all of those types of things. The fact is, with a record player at this level, quality-wise, we can assume that they've made some engineering decisions to have the the head shell bent in this way. It still has a traditional P-mount, and again the 2M red cartridge and stylus is factory fitted. So again, put that off to one side. Okay. The next step, and please, it's important, and I'll tilt it all the way forward so you can kind of see. It's obvious that they've ensured that some of the accessories are going to be obvious during the unpacking phase. I would suggest, with some customer feedback, the odd person has thrown the polystyrene in the rubbish bin and inadvertently thrown out some of the critical accessories. So that's why I sort of paused to alert you to them. Nevertheless, take that out, put it off to one side. We see the next layer beneath. Now, I guess there's no surprises that the platter's all the way on the bottom of this box. All of the heavy items are typically removed and shipped separately. A simple nick gets us into that plastic bag. And we've got a really well designed aluminium platter with the turntable's belt pre-fitted. It's highlighted by this little red ribbon, and I'll go into as to why that is so important for a setup. And again, put that off to one side. So we've got some emulation of packaging floating around at this point. Okay, we see basically two, but one's empty, that one, and this one has a big accessory logo, right? Very, very straightforward to open it up. Simple nick. And we've got ourselves the power supply. Now the power pack comes with a New Zealand adapter, so that sort of traditional New Zealand adapter. Clips in really easy, I'll just chuck it back. Very basic interconnecting cables. Look, it's suitable to set them up. If you are getting credible with your stereo setup and are expecting decent performance, replace those with something a little bit better. The power pack itself is a 12 volt DC power pack, and clipping in the New Zealand adapter is as simple as that. Really, really easy. Again, that's it from the accessories. Then we look to the turntable itself, and as I alluded to, we've got all the accessories off to one end. So what we're going to do is carefully slip that off and turn it over, taking off the other half and getting rid of it. And we'll pause. In here we've got the 45 adapter, we've got one of the two hinges, and then the counterweight. So again, some of the heavier elements, or the ones that may be susceptible to damage and freight, have been carefully separated and put off to one side. The counterweight is the most obvious as far as the requirement. Again, that's in a sealed plastic bag, so just tear that open, put it off to one side. Oh look, actually pause. It's worth mentioning the threading. It's a brass counterweight. It's very heavy, so it's compact but high mass. It's got your classic sort of ring for setting of 0 points, and then it's threaded to ensure that you can easily twist and deliver the relative tracking force associated with the cartridge. Then we've got the two brackets, as I said. Terrible sounding polystyrene. And there we go, again in a sealed bag. One, and then two. Now these brackets, they're sort of not spring loaded, but they have a good catch to them as far as their up position. So it's very, very unlikely in the up position that the lid is going to collapse forward. So that's excellent. It's a nice simple design feature. I'm going to leave the 45 adapter there. Nobody uses them anymore, but anyway. Right. Okay. On to the deck itself. There is a warning sticker talking about the tone arm and ensuring that during the unpacking process you're just a little bit more careful as far as dragging the bag off. But if you secure it from the back and slide slowly the bag towards the front, you shouldn't really have any chance of damaging anything. The bag itself has done its job and protected it in transit, and there is one of those silica bags to keep everything dry as well. Okay, tilting it forward, we see some of the basic design elements and how good this is from a quality of build perspective compared with some of the lesser models, and obviously compared with others in its price point. The entire central bearing and motor are recessed within the plinth. That's really important as far as the vibration associated with the turntable's operation being eliminated and not ending up in the arm or cartridge. The large white cog is associated with the automatic features, and we see the classic motor off to one side. There's also some very subtle adjustment available should things be running very fast or very slow. Often that is occurring with issues associated with your power, not the deck, but anyway. We also see, look, the dual logo, we're all used to that, the CS429, and the fact that it's a fully automatic belt drive turntable. We see the very simple operation of a start and a stop button, and then a rotary encoder giving you the ability to turn the unit off, so all the way down is in the off position, then 33, 45 and 78. Now this doesn't have a stop point, it just stops at 78 when you get there, and then all the way down to the off position. This is in their black ash finish. The feet themselves, just pausing before we look, are designed to eliminate surface vibration and also resonance. It's classically deep, as you would expect, and as we first look at the arm you can see how functional it is before we start loading it with the cartridge and the counterweight. Again, it's got a magnetic anti-skate and a classic raise lower mechanism that you would expect. The bearings in it are good, and it's at the back we see some of the features that I've alluded to. Again, the other half of the bracketing system for the hinges and lid, the phono or line output, so in phono mode this side, this will output the low voltage designed to go into a phono preamp of an integrated amplifier. In the line position it boosts the output as much as it can without adding too much noise floor, and allows you to plug it into a product that maybe doesn't have a phono preamp on board. We've got the left and the right outputs clearly labelled and colour coded red and white, and then a nice finger tight ground for the earth. A couple of exposed screws, and then sort of a master on-off switch at the back. I guess if you're not going to use this for a prolonged period of time, or you're off on holiday, you'd reach around and turn it off. Then we've got the 12 volt DC input to go with the plug pack that we have seen. Now it's time to just sort of take a moment and pre-assemble the unit. The first thing to start with, and the easiest, is the platter, and that brings in this little red tag here. The idea behind a pre-fitted belt is that it is sitting untwisted, ready to go, and this little red tag ensures that people are reminded that there is an element of assembly required. The first is to very carefully slip that over the central bearing. You can see how easily it moves. It's very well weighted. And then using the red tags we are able to pull and extend the belt over the motor and then carefully remove the tag. It's very straightforward. I mean, I know I made that look really easy, but never let that element of it intimidate you. It's very well thought out as far as a process, and you can always do it with your finger should it fall off in some circumstance. Nevertheless, the next thing that we want to put on is the mat. It's a sort of a soft rubber. It's obviously designed to eliminate vibrations off the surface of the platter, and it starts immediately to look like a turntable. The cartridge is very straightforward to fit because it's already pre-mounted to the head shell, and it's lined up, and then a simple screw pulls that in, connects it electrically to the internal wires, and it's pretty much done. The counterweight is fitted at the back, and as I alluded to as far as the threading that is done in advance, it's very straightforward as far as manoeuvring this backwards and forwards as far as setting its tracking force. The 2M Red has an ideal tracking force of 2 grams, and it's very straightforward to balance and then increase the tracking force associated with it. And don't forget, of course, to match the tracking force of the counterweight with the anti-skate weight when you've finished. And should you ever sort of play around with some of the tracking forces and maybe soften it up or make it a little bit heavier depending on the pressing and the quality of the record, a reminder to change the anti-skate to reflect that. The hinges are really easy to fit. They simply slot into the pre-molded parts of the perspex for the lid, making that sort of element a lot easier than in previous models as well. And then these key really easily into the back, and we have the deck looking as it should, fully assembled. Nevertheless, we see the unit for the first time looking as it would be with you using it, apart from obviously the twist tie that we'll remove. Because this unit actually has a clip, it's very straightforward to remove this twist tie and discard it. You won't need it again even if you're sort of moving the turntable around the home. And there's a simple enough little soft cloth to ensure that the arm is not scratched in transit. And then again, a clip on and off. Again, hang around for the photographs. We'll take some close-ups of the arm to ensure that it doesn't move around. So there we have it. Jules' awesome performing fully automatic turntable, their CS429. Unboxed here at the Listening Post in Christchurch, New Zealand. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel.